Hi, pupils, and welcome to the channel Dania's Polyglot. In today's lesson, we are going to learn the order of words in a sentence. If you want to know why it's important that you know this, please stay.
Welcome to Language Adventure with Tanya. Imagine exploring the world through its languages. Picture yourself strolling past the Eiffel Tower, diving into the rich history of Germany, or savoring the vibrant culture of Spain. Each language opens a door to new experiences, friendships, and understanding. Whether you're mastering English, dancing to Korean rhythms, or savoring French cuisine, every word you learn is a step on this exciting journey. Let's embark on this adventure together and unlock the beauty of communication across the globe.
So we have here basic sentence structure. In English, sentences follow a specific order. Do you remember we have subject plus the verb plus the complement? For example, what is the subject of this sentence? Yeah, she. And what's the verb? Reads. And what is the complement? Yeah, a book. She reads a book. It's important that you know these little details because these little details will make you sound confident and more clear when speaking. Because imagine if you start like a conversation and you said, a book reads she. That it doesn't have any sense for me. I don't know for you. But for me, the right way to say it is she reads a book, following the structure. Then we have the common mistake. Reads she a book. The subject and verb cannot be inverted in affirmative sentences. So be careful, guys, in those details. I'm trying to make emphasize because lately I've saw that some of you made mistakes when you try to formulate a sentence. Sometimes I see from the beginning the verb, then the complement, and at the end the subject. So be careful in those details, guys, and try to avoid them because it will sound weird and it's wrong. Then we have here order of sentence elements, order of sentence elements. The subject is who or what performs the action. It can be a pronoun. What is a pronoun? I, you, he, and she. Or a noun. What is a noun? Like the complement. John, the cat, my friend, the house, an apple, and so on. For example, my brother plays soccer. They are happy. If you see here, my brother plays soccer, we use the verb. And if you see here, they are happy, I am describing an emotion that they feel. And how do I describe emotions? Yeah, with adjectives. Then we have verb. The verb describes the action or state of the subject. For example, she eats pizza. We live in New York. What's the verb of these sentences? Yeah, eats and live. Is the action that performs in the sentence. The action that the subject do. If you see a sentence without a verb, it's maybe because you are using an adjective to describe an emotion, but when you want to describe an action, you always will use the verbs. So be careful in those details. Then we have here object or complement, like nouns, right? That's are the complements. The object receives the action of the verb. It can be a noun, pronoun, or phrase. For example, she reads a book. What is here the object or the complement or noun? Yeah, the book. I like chocolate. What's the object? Yeah, the chocolate was the verb like. So be careful in those details, guys, and you will understand how to formulate your own sentences correctly, avoiding mistakes. Then we have here order of modifiers in a sentence. These adverbs answer how often they go before the main verb or after the verb to be. For example, I always eat breakfast. If you see here, the adverb is always, in this case, works as a modifier in the sentence. I always eat breakfast. Then we have she's never late. What is the adverb of this sentence? Yeah, never, or modifier, right? The common mistakes is to say I eat always breakfast. That can be possible. Keep in mind this, please, because this is another mistake that I used to see. Um, that you put the verb and then the adverb. And everything has an order, and we must follow that order. For example, in here, remember subject, adverb, verb, and complement. That's the right order to put adverbs before the verb, no after. Be careful in those details, guys. Then we have here adjectives before nouns. Adjectives go before the noun they describe. For example, a beautiful house. What's the adjective? Yeah, beautiful. A beautiful house. A big dog. If you see here, the adjective comes before the noun. I can say a house beautiful, a dog big. Maybe in other languages that will have sense. But remember that we are learning English nor other languages, so be careful in those details. Remember the adjective from the beginning and then the noun. A beautiful house, a big dog. The common mistake that some students should commit is a house beautiful. That it doesn't have any sense to me, and we have a structure and we have to respect this structure. It was made to avoid this kind of mistakes. But of course, you are learning. I'm not saying that today you studied this and tomorrow you won't do any mistake. No, that's impossible. When we want to master a language and the structures, basically, we need to take some time. But of course, try to memorize these structures and try to formulate your own sentences to sound more clear, more confident, and in that way, your brain will save the order of the sentences. And don't be afraid to commit mistakes. That's why we are here today, right? Because we are learning or trying to fix or improve our mistakes. So be careful in those details. Then we have here place before time. General rule, place before time. For example, she studies at a school place every morning time. If you see here, what is the place? At school. And what's the time? Every morning. She studies at school. Place comes before the time. I can say that she studies every morning at school. Maybe when you are studying learning the language, it will have a sense for you. But the truth is that we have a structure for everything, and it's our homework to learn it. Because imagine if you tell me she studies every morning at school, I will get your idea, but immediately I will catch that you made a mistake. So be careful, be careful. But don't worry, little by little, you will improve these these little details. Then we have we met in Paris last year. I can't say we met last year in Paris because it sounds weird, especially now that you know that we have to add the place before the time. If you see here, I didn't mention it because I try to focus on place before time. But if we observe the sentence, we have the subject she, the verb studies, and then we have the place at school and the time every morning. And it's not necessary that always you will find another verb in all sentences. So be careful, guys. Then we have we met in Paris last year and common mistakes. She studies every morning at school. This can sound unnatural in English. Like I said, right? I will get your idea, and it's okay if maybe you are learning it, and maybe you are in a city where the main language is English. And in that moment, when you try to communicate with people, you won't think about the order, right? You just want to communicate your idea. That is great. But if you want to sound like a native or like a pro, you should fix and avoid those mistakes. So be careful, guys. But I'm 100% sure that by the time you will master those details. Then we have here word order in questions. In questions, the word order changes. Why? You will see. We have from the beginning WH word or WH questions. Do you remember that we saw a lesson of this? And if you don't, I recommend you to watch my video. You will find it in this YouTube channel, WH questions. What are WH questions? Do you remember? Yeah, why, where, and when, and so on, and what, and things like that. Those are those are WH words. Then we have the auxiliary verb. In this case, in present simple is do, does, and in past did. But be careful, because imagine if I tell you what's the auxiliary verb of future and you tell me do and does, that will be wrong. Because for future, we have the auxiliary verb will and going to. So be careful in those details, guys. Then we have the subject, the main verb, and the complement. For example, what, WH question, right? Do, auxiliary verb, you, the subject, like, the main verb. In this case, we don't have a complement, but it's mandatory for some examples, for some sentences that it will be a complement. So be careful. What do you like? Where does she live? When did you arrive? This is another thing in which I want to make emphasize. For example, if you see here, we have do, does, and did. But I can't say that I does cook because that's totally grown because we will use does with the subject he, she, and we will use do for I, for we, and for they. Be careful in auxiliary verbs and with the subjects that you will combine the sentences. Please, guys, make emphasizing that. Then we have when did you arrive? And we have here a common mistake. Where she lives, that's grammatically wrong. Be careful, avoid that mistake. But it's okay. Sometimes, like I previously was saying, we need to communicate our ideas. And in that moment, we won't think about subject, verb, and complement. But try to make emphasis in major own sentences, and in that way your brain will set up that is the correct order to say a sentence, and you will be fluent. So now guys, after all the information that I give you about how to formulate correctly your sentences, it's time to make an activity time to see if you really understood how the order of the sentences works. Don't be afraid. We have here the practice exercise. Put this sentence in the correct order. Number one, plays soccer on Saturdays, my brother. Do you think that it's grammatically correct how this sentence is formulated? I don't know. Write it down below in the comments and I'll be reading those comments. Then we have eats every morning breakfast, Sarah. Do you think that is the correct order? I don't know. Then we have at the park play on Sundays the children. Goes to work by bus mark. Watches in the evening TV my dad. So guys, let's practice. Can you write a sentence using this word order in the comments? I put it in those comments. Don't be afraid. I'm here to help you improve your English. So thank you guys. Don't forget to give a like and hit the bell button and subscribe, and of course leave your comments. Don't be shy. I'll be correcting them later. See you in the next lesson. Thanks to watch my videos.